Hi, I'm Goodman in Barcelona at the famous Park Güell, which is how they are pronounced it here in Catalonia, this part of Spain, or in Park Güell, which is the way you may have heard of it. And we're going to take you on a live streaming tour of this, and our guide is going to be Mireia Gutierrez, who is a guide in English for this park. Good morning, Mireia.
Hello, good morning, and welcome to the park.
It's kind of unusual today. It's raining, that's why we're underneath. Does this happen a lot?
No, it doesn't happen very often. The rain, normally we have the sunshine here in Barcelona, but we have some rain days, of course. And I have to say I've got a bit mixed feelings, because I'd love to show you the park in a sunny day, but we need to rain. Otherwise in summer, it's near droughts. The rain is also important, so let's look at the bright side of it.
We are going to be brave. As you can see, while you and I talk, our cameraman Gabriel is walking around, and we're going to start walking around. So we're just going to take a little tour, and we're going to take our viewers here around the world, the CGTN and the various apps, Facebook and the CGTN app and all the others. We're going to tell them about this place. Let's just talk about you for just a second. How long have you been a guide here at the Park Güell?
I've been a guide here for about 2 years. Yes. I've been guiding in Barcelona for 4 years.
Are you from Barcelona?
I am from Barcelona.
Did you come to this place when you were a little girl?
Yes, I used to come here with my family for a stroll at the weekend. And, it has changed a lot, I have to say, from when I was a little girl.
Okay, now, you can see, let's just show how much it's raining. Let's turn the camera this way, Gabi. And so you can see it's raining, but people are still coming. Why is that?
Because this is a place you cannot miss when you visit Barcelona. People like to come and see Gaudi's artwork, and you grab an umbrella and you can still enjoy the park and the Gaudi's architecture and the natural environment that surrounds Gaudi's artwork.
So while Gabriel is focused on, these are the two gatehouses of this park, which, by the way, is more than 100 years old, right?
Yes, they started building all these back in 1900s. And I have to say, today this is a park, a public park, open to the public. But when they started building all these back in 1900, the intention wasn't to build a park. What they wanted to build here was a residential area for the well-off families. 60 families. But the project failed. And that's why today the space is a public park.
When we got here earlier this morning, you could see the tall buildings, and you could see the city, and you could see the Mediterranean Sea, but right now you can't see that.
Yeah, normally on a sunny, clear day, you have a spectacular view of Barcelona with the Mediterranean Sea farther beyond. Because we are on a slight slope, we're about 150 meters above sea level, so the views from here are really worth it.
Okay, so these are, when you say this is a park that's open to the public, it's up the hill from the city center, and there is a part that is kind of a natural hillside, almost mountainous park, but the area that we're seeing is why everybody's coming, and people are paying to come and see this, right?
Yeah, this area where we are now is what we call the Monumental Area, is where the nicer structures by Gaudi are located, and this area here is the pay area. So it's about 5 years ago. You can visit the rest of the park for free, all the natural, the gardens, the paths that zigzag this natural slope, but this area is a pay area.
Okay, and it's if you order in advance, it's €750 on internet, and $850 if you pay at the ticket office, which is about $950 US. And obviously that would help explain why so many people are here, because they bought their tickets in advance and they want to come see it even if it's raining, right?
Yeah, we recommend to book in advance because it's always full of people. A lot of people want to come and visit this, so it's best if you book online in advance to make sure you have a slot and you can not miss it.
Okay, so you were telling us before we came up live, Gabi, we're going to walk underneath the columns here. You were saying that, let's walk ahead of him, and you were saying that these mosaics on the columns, there's something that happens. Let's walk and show us what's going on with them.
Yeah, well, first of all, the hall where we are now is called the Hypostyle Hall, also known as the Hall of the 100 Pillars. But I have
the hall of 100 pillars.
the 100 pillars.
Okay, and so there are 100 of these.
No, there aren't.
Okay, so this is just folklore from here. But what's the first word that you used to describe this place?
Hypostyle. Hypostyle because it looks like a Greek temple.
Okay, wouldn't you say the Hall of 100 Pillars is easier to say in English than the other word?
It's a lot easier. One is the official name, the Hypostyle, and the other is the name the hall is known by.
So you were talking, let's talk about these tiles.
Yeah, well, first of all, this hall was meant to be the market square for the inhabitants of this garden city.
Okay, if this had been an upscale residential neighborhood, this would have been the market where they would have bought fresh produce and fish.
Exactly. That's why the lower part of the pillars is covered by ceramics to be able to be cleaned and disinfected every time after the market.
Okay, and there's something that goes on with these, the height of this,
yes.
Right?
Although this is known as the Hall of the 100 Pillars, here there are only 86 of them. Okay. But Gaudi used a technique to trick the eye to give a sense of perspective, like a visual effect, to make us perceive the hall bigger than what it really is.
So if we walk down this way, we're going to see that, right?
We need to walk a little bit harder.
We can't go too deep because we're going to lose the light, but can we see it on these ones out here?
Let's try over here.
Okay, let's stay in the light, okay? So what's going on here?
What's going on is that as we walk towards the end of the hall, the level of the ceramics grows up, increases.
And why is that?
To give this visual effect of deepness, to make us feel the hall is deeper, bigger, longer than what it really is.
Okay, so by slightly increasing the
level of the ceramics,
it gives the visual effect. It's an optical illusion.
Exactly. It gives the impression the hall is deeper.
All right, so let's see.
For example, if I stand here next to the pillar, as you can see, it goes just below my head.
Okay, and
but
the
if
next
I
one?
walk towards there, the level of ceramics will increase.
Okay, let's see it. Let's see it. So you're in right over here. So you're saying that eventually it's going to cover your head, right?
And if I keep walking, the ceramic keeps increasing.
Do we have enough light for her to show that? Okay, you think so? Let's just go straight ahead. Oh my goodness, look at that. Wait. So now...
I've shrunk, or the ceramics have grown.
What happened? Did you get shorter? Or
Yes, I did. No, the level of the ceramics has grown. So this is what's creating this visual effect, this optical illusion.
Okay. Now there's a staircase back here. What's back here?
Up the stairs, there is one of the walkways that was designed by Gaudi, by Antoni Gaudi.
Shall we go out there?
Yes.
And tell us who... Gaudi was a very, very world-renowned Catalan architect, and he did another building in town in Barcelona that a lot of people have visited and heard of. It's called the
Sagrada Familia, the unfinished church.
By contrast, this place is actually finished, right? He was in this job.
This was a garden city in the end. What is lacking here are the house inhabitants, because Mr. Güell didn't sell all the plots he wanted to sell.
Out here, it looks like we might be
Okay, so we were saying that this was supposed to be a garden city, but the project failed, and that's why today the space is a public park. Out of the 60 plots Mr. Güell wanted to sell to these well-off families, for those families to have their houses built, in the end he only sold 2 houses. Out of the 40, 50 houses, 60 houses they wanted to have built here, only 2 of them. Mr. Güell sold a plot of land to a contractor, the owner of a building company, who wanted to build a model house to be shown to potential buyers and try to increase the sales. And 2 other plots were sold to Mr. Güell's lawyer that felt a bit obliged to buy the plot of land here, and he had his house built here. So in the end, only 2 houses were sold. So this was a failure. And Antoni Gaudi, the architect himself, in 1906 bought the model house and moved here. So Gaudi lived here in the park actually for nearly 20 years. He lived here before, and then he moved to the Sagrada Familia. We are in the outskirts of the city, and every single day Gaudi was working here, walking from here to the Sagrada Familia where he was walking, and then walking back up here. He decided to move to the Sagrada Familia.
He would walk from here down to...
Every single day. And after work, actually, he continued walking to the Gothic Quarter, and from there, he was walking back up here every single day.
How long does that take?
It takes me, for example, walking down the hill, more than the Sagrada Familia. Walking back uphill, it takes a lot longer.
Shall we go down these stairs? Okay, do you want to put up your umbrella, Mireia? We're going to go first. Hold on, Gabi. We're going to go first. So let's go down here. And these are, really, this is one of the most famous parts of the park, is it not?
Yes, it's the most photographed part of the park. This was meant to be the main entrance of this garden city. And in front of us we have the 2 entrance pavilions, and then the stairway here where we are.
Specifically the dragon.
Specifically the dragon, this animal we have here in the middle of the stairway. You can call it dragon, lizard, salamander, whatever you like, because we don't know exactly what that is. And as you can see, it's by little ceramic shards. It's very colorful. Here in the park, they used a technique called trencadís. Trencadís, a technique that was invented by Gaudi, and they used to use a lot in the late 1800s, early 1900s. Trencadís comes from the Catalan word trencar, that means to smash, and if you grab a piece of ceramics, smash it and let it be broken in little shards, and then take the shards broken at random to cover a surface.
Why don't you show us with your hand, with your free hand? So let's just see Mireia's hand here.
Yeah, we can see the little broken ceramic shards. We don't break the pieces purposely, but we let the ceramics be broken at random. Here you can see the little shards that are covering.
Shards are the little pieces, really?
The little pieces, broken tiles. These are broken tiles. In this case, I suspect they were just tiles that were broken, but in many other cases, Gaudi was recycling existing materials, like plates, vases, even porcelain dolls, all sorts of ceramics. He was recycling. Not
in order to be able to use something again, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it wasn't because of economic purposes, because the owner of this park, Mr. Güell, was very, very wealthy. He could afford the most expensive ceramics on the market, but it was the concept of it. If I have a piece of ceramics that can be reused, why wasting it?
Okay.
So we can say Gaudi was a visionary, because it was very uncommon 100 years ago to recycle things.
So this would be, okay, let's walk on down here, and I'm going to give you the umbrella. So we're trying to show you this park without slipping and falling down the stairs, and also there's some big puddles and we don't want to swim through the puddles. So this is what we're doing over here as you're watching this live streaming on CGTN, as we're at the Park Güell, which is how it's called in many parts of the world, but here originally this is from Catalonia, and we're in Barcelona, the capital of Catalonia. This part that many people would say is the northeastern part of Spain. They call it the Park Güell.
This is the way we pronounce it in both Spanish and Catalan, Park Güell. We spell it G-U-E-L-L, Park Güell. It's called like that because...
There's a little bit of the L, almost just a bit of the L.
Yeah, we say Park Güell, Park Güell. Park Güell, who bought this land back in 1899. Gardens. He was very wealthy. Yeah, he was involved in very textile. Man, basically, but very cultivated. And apart from his businesses, he had interest in things in life, such as culture, science, technology.
These two.
Well, the two buildings are the entrance pavilions. As I said, this was meant to be the main entrance of this garden city, and the pavilion on the left-hand side was meant to be the keeper's house. To look after this garden city, we're supposed to live here with the family. Okay. And as you can see, the style is very imaginative, it's very out of common, very out of order. Reminds them of Hansel and Gretel.
It does. I don't know if Gabi can go all the way up to show us what's at the top of that little tower over there.
At the top of the concierge, there is a chimney looking like a mushroom, like a wild mushroom. And then next to it on the right side, there is a tower crowned by a 3D cross. This 3D cross we could see is one of Gaudi's signature. The Sagrada Familia Church we were talking about earlier on, for example, when finished, it will also be crowned by one of these crosses. Gaudi used to love this cross because you look at it from the angle you look at it, you always see the shape of a cross. And
it's not flat.
Not a flat cross.
Cross when you look at it, and if you're on the side, you don't see the cross.
Exactly.
You're saying that no matter, you can go any way around, look at it from below, or above, or on any side, and you see.
Exactly. This is a 3D cross, so you can always see the shape of a cross. And Gaudi was a very religious man, so he felt protected by this Christian cross. And then the chimneys are very funny because they look like wild mushrooms. The one on the right-hand side, as well as the one on the pavilion on the left as well. They look a little bit like wild mushrooms.
It looks like a mushroom.
And actually a lot of people are saying, yeah, living in this garden village, we feel like living in a fairy tale or even in a Smurfs village because of the mushrooms. The one on the left-hand side, the one on top of the keeper's house, if you look at...
See that with the eye, but in any case, it's up there. You know, it actually has almost a fairy tale view. Just to be here in the red is the way.
It changes a little bit, but people are still enjoying it. It is.
But if you do, it will be just fine.
Yeah, the artwork and the natural environment around it.
We're about to close here, Gabi. Let's turn our camera up towards the... let's walk over here so we can see from the base of the staircase. Let's walk over there.
Yeah, at the top of the staircase we can see the pillars, the hall that we saw earlier on. And on top of that we have a massive square that was meant to be a meeting place for neighbors.
On top of, there's a flat part on top of those pillars.
Exactly.
Like a plaza on the top of the building.
Exactly,
right?
Exactly. A big open space for neighbors to meet, to celebrate their parties, concerts, gatherings, whatever. And then on the square, there is this snaky bench actually those wavy lines we can see up there are part of the bench. You can sit on that and have a look at the square, at what's going on the square, and also have the spectacular views over the city.
Now,
That's
part of
behind
that
us
is
now.
under restoration, right?
Yes, we're restoring part of the square to make it impermeable, because there's something very interesting about the square and the pillars. That's that most of the pillars in the market square are hollow. Because in the past, when it used to rain, the rainwater used to get filtered through the sun on the square and go inside the pillars to the very bottom of the square, where there used to be, well, there still is, a massive water tank to collect the water and to use it to water the plants or whatever. But now this system of rainwater collection is not working. So we're restoring the square to make everything impermeable, to stop any water leaking and damaging the structure. This is the UNESCO's World Heritage Site, so it's important to preserve it and to keep it as well as we can.
Okay, so we're going to ask Gaudi to stay right there, and you and I are going to just walk up the stairs, just a few stairs.
Okay.
Gabi's going to stay right there, and we're going to sign off here. We're going to say thank you very much for joining us on this tour of the
Park Güell.
Okay, that's how you say it.
Park Güell.
Okay. Mireia Gutierrez has been our guide here in Barcelona. I'm Al Goodman, and we thank you very much for joining us, and we will see you next time right here on CGTN. Bye-bye.
Bye.